Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. Today, we have a little bit of news outside of the Broncos, but really the focus is going to be the 53-man roster and our predictions. So stick with us, and we will break that down for you.
Yo, welcome to the show. Let me set the scene. Mile High Sports Symposium, living the dream. Broncos in the house with that orange and blue. Nuggets making moves, watch that altitude crew. Avalanche bringing ice, check the skills they display. Rocky swinging bats, ready for game day. Rapids in the mix, kicking it with style. Buffs bring the heat, put the rivals on trial. Out talking JJT, they got the scoop. Mile High vibes, feel that energy rise. Sports on the menu, watch the crowd mesmerize. From football to hockey, we're taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire.
Hello, everyone. Again, welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am JT Matthews at JTMatthews01 on Twitter, and I'm here with the doctor, Nicholas Manning at DR_N Manning on Twitter as well. What's up, Bronco Libre? How y'all doing today?
Let's go.
This is a lot to read. Nice. I was like, hold on.
Hold on, I gotta make sure you get up.
I know, I gotta read. I'm not a speed reader. Doc, how you doing today? How you holding up? It is Wednesday. Shy, what's up, man?
True. Yeah, I'm good, man. The weather is getting nicer and all the things, and so that's good. I know it's gonna get weird again because it does over the weekend, but full throes of life. All the kids are in school. It's nice not having any stragglers in and around my business when I'm working from home, and so that's pretty dope. Gonna be golfing on Friday.
Nice.
Well,
you've been doing the golf a little bit more.
I know. You buy clubs, you might as well invest in them. So,
that's true. I mean,
a couple things to look forward to. What about you? How are you doing, man?
I'm good. Just enjoying the day. Gonna play a little bit of basketball later, as long as the weather holds up. That'll be. I always look forward to that. It's been nice this summer. We got a solid group of dudes that are in the neighborhood that just started playing, and it's been fun. It's been nice. It's been good for me to get a little less sedentary and have something like active to look forward to. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. And I've been working on my jump shot a little bit. It's not great. It's never been great, but it's better. It's improved. I'm really trying to focus on, like the closing the lid on the top at the top of the shot.
Yep.
Just trying to be consistent, trying to get a little bit of lift on my shot a little bit more consistently. When you're tired though, it's hard. You don't want to jump. I just want to kind of just do a standing jump shot.
Get up there.
Or set shot, I guess it's called. But yeah, I mean, it's been fun.
Good. Yeah, I mean, you're a force to be reckoned with out there on the hoops.
I am large, and that's what I have on my side, and I'm going.
But you are also in charge.
That's true.
So is that
as long as my wife's not home.
That's right. That's right. When she come around, I'd be quiet, but when she leave, I'd be talking again.
Then I'm in charge.
Little Chris Tucker.
All right. Well, we got some sports to talk about. Like I said at the beginning, we do talk about a little bit of stuff outside of the Broncos. But in the offseason, there's not much going on. But we did want to mention the Colorado Avalanche made a signing. Winger Victor Olofsson to a 1-year contract. Pretty affordable, just over $1.5 million. A depth signing, a guy who can score a little bit, who has had some success in the league and has kicked around a little bit. He's with Vegas most recently. So he's been around some winning culture. And I think, hoping that he brings some depth and some leadership to this team. And I think it's a good signing overall. You got a little bit of cap space to work with. You got to bring in some bodies and see how you fill out the rest of the roster. But this roster is looking pretty set from last season. And
I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's the just the Rockies. God, Just anyway, everyone else playing 3D checkers or 3D chess. Rockies are playing shoots and ladders. They can't even make it to the right board. But I had messaged you last night just chatting, like, what does this mean? I would assume it's a vet min deal, kind of, anywhere. Usually in NHL, it's between like $850,000 to $2 million, depending on the player. I would think that this late in the game, free agency, it's probably like $1 million-ish. Haven't got those numbers yet per sources. I don't have sources, guys, for hockey. That's for sure. But it's a guy that scored 20 goals at least, has scored 3 times in his career, so a 7-year career, and then had 2 seasons of 13 and 15 goals respectively. I guess the other one season he played in 6 games, since I count that. So in 6 seasons, he's only scored less than 13 goals once. And then anytime really he's played in, above 50 games, he's been a pretty good contributor. The only thing is his plus minus is terrible. So I wonder if, if you're playing on the bottom 6, that's just kind of how it goes. But so that one would give me, I think, some concern. But they're not bringing him in to carry a line. He's going to be is an adequate player. He's 5'11", 180 pounds. So he's not. I don't think it's a guy that you're really banking a ton on. And so, actually, you know what? His plus minus last year was plus 17. Previous season,
it was weird when you play for a good team, right?
Yeah, it's weird. I had to look at what the correlation was when you play for Buffalo. Not great, Bob. Not great. So I like it. I know I was asking you. I want your take. You're the hockey guy. Are they done? One, I don't think that they have much more room to move around. I would think, less than $3 to $5 million probably. But do you think they're done? Do you think they need to make more moves before the start of the season? Or do you feel pretty good about where they're at in rolling this group out to go chase a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, no, I think that they've made some good additions. I think they've got some good young guys that they're still trying to work into the rotation. I think it's just, you're a little hampered by the cap. You've got to see what you've got in Gabriel Landeskog. That's going to be a big determining factor for this team moving forward. Essentially your second line, winger that can come in and be a game changer, or could get hurt again, and we don't know what that looks like. Not that I'm wishing that on him. I would never wish that on him. But just inability to play up until the playoffs last year. You worry about the long-term picture of this team if he's not able to go. And so I think just if you can fill your team with guys that have a little bit some veteran leadership, a little bit of depth, bring a little bit of depth to this team, a little bit of scoring. This guy, Olofsson, I think most recently had something like 14 goals, 16 assists, something like that. That's probably not exactly right, but around those numbers. So a guy who can get on the scoreboard, if he gets an opportunity, and so you'll see him in those depth lines. But I think that they're probably going to stand pat until the season gets going. We'll see if any of those young guys, prospect-wise, can break into the roster, or at least get some rotational minutes and see what happens from there. But I like where the Avs are at. I like the direction their team's been going. There's some question marks that, we're just going to have to wait until they get on the ice to see how everyone's looking and gelling. But overall, solid move. Nothing like crazy notable, but just something that, you're just like I said, filling out for depth and trying to make this team as competitive as possible and try to overthrow the top dogs that have been, in the playoffs and kind of kicking your butts for the last couple of years. So overall, I like the move.
Yeah. I mean, me too. It's one of those where there's not a, outside of a blockbuster trade, which if you're going to do that, you would have done it already.
Right.
Outside of that, there really isn't much that they could have or should have done, to be quite frank. So I like it. Again, it's depth wins championships, right? You saw it, when Val went out, with all the stuff. Landeskog went out, right? Like you just they were top heavy. They didn't have enough guys to be able to help carry those minutes where your big boys aren't on the ice. And so I think the fact that they didn't go to sleep on that part of the roster, didn't feel satisfied with the depth that they have. In the end, competition, I talked about this. Competition is great. And I think that they need it in all the areas. And, similar to the Nuggets, right? Let's bring in some really, really good players off the bench and then let them compete for how they're going to fit, how they're going to earn playing time and those things. That's their problem, right? Like it's we want the best guys out there. We want people to pick spots. We're not going to be afraid of drafting or developing or signing guys because, we might hurt someone's feelings or not have a clear path for maximum playing time. I think Olofsson is coming here understanding he's coming to the Avalanche. It's not the Sabres, and it's not pick a crappy team somewhere. It's not the Minnesota Wild. F you guys. So yeah, like bring it on. I'm excited about where they're at. I think they should be done until the trade deadline. I think barring anything catastrophic. Let's stand pat. If there's a nice other depth signing, but I think, like you said, some younger guys, let's let them get some run while we feel out this roster and then see what's cracking.
Okay. I feel like this is personal. No one said my hat was cool. So
nope, not one person.
I know what that's about, but all right. I accept. I'll rock my own style. That's fine.
It's because you don't believe.
I do believe. But also,
I know. It's fine, but
I think
you're being a little ridiculous, and I'd appreciate it if you would just put it down and believe.
All right, if you say so. Well, we have a lot of Broncos talks ahead of us, so we are going to transition to that. But first, I'm going to vamp just to make sure that Doc has time to bring up a graphic for a sponsor that we have, because we need to be able to hype our sponsors.
That's right.
So that we can do this awesome show and get into all of our analysis. And when you're ready, I'm done vamping, so you can go unless you want. Okay, good.
Yeah. So we had talked about it last time. Super excited. I ordered my own W. Hasn't got here yet, but super excited.
Hold that comment down, bro.
Energy drink. Sorry, Orange and Blue Network. Appreciate you. Thanks for chiming in.
There you go.
Let's get you off the screen. Use the code OBN as in Knicks 10, however you want to do it. Orange Blue Network, the Oregon Bow Knicks 10, like however you want to remember it. Oh, that's awesome. Use that, get 10% off. Works as a pretty good and non-jittery like pre-workout or throughout the day. If you're like me and JT, we got 4 kids. Caffeine is life. So definitely go through and don't forget to use that code OBN10. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and remind the folks about the awesome shows too that we have. And because JT's eyesight is better than mine, he's going to let you know what our show schedule is.
It's because, believe it or not, I am younger than you. And so my eyesight is better by default. That's how that works. But yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have the Orange and Blue Blitz. We've got Monday at 7 p.m. Bronco Bros. We have Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue Tuesday at 6 p.m. Wednesdays at 2:30. You've got us, Mile High Sports Symposium. Then a Wednesday at 6 p.m. You've got Broncos Talk. Friday at 6 p.m. You've got Viva Los Broncos. Breaking news is called Orange and Blue Fresh Squeeze. So anytime there's breaking news with the team, every game day, 1 hour before kickoff, you can get bucked. It's a talk, pregame show, and then every game day right after the game, buck your feelings. So lots of shows to watch, lots of shows to get acquainted with, and people to get acquainted with. It's an amazing network, lots of amazing hosts. We are happy to be just one of those duos, but talent all over the board. We appreciate everyone who tunes into any of our shows, and we'll continue to roll out that good content, All right, Doc, you ready to jump into some roster predictions? This is what the people are here for, roster predictions. I'm here for roster predictions.
Yeah.
Are you here for roster predictions?
Yeah. I mean, I actually didn't know why I was here, and then
Now you know.
remembered when you said that. Make sure you go hit those buttons, like, subscribe, put us on your algorithm, all those smart things, and all that good stuff. But with it,
Yes,
let's get to chatting. How do we want to start this? I would assume we want to start in the quarterback room.
Yeah, let's start on the offensive side of the ball. I think that makes the most sense. Okay. And we'll start with the quarterback group. The question, I think, with this room is you're keeping, on the active roster at least, are you keeping 3 quarterbacks?
Yeah. At one, I wouldn't have even thought about it being a thing or an option if Sam Ellender didn't ball out of his mind on Saturday. He was playing against some future car salesman. No shout outs to car salesman. It's just that what we say, and go make that money, all that good stuff. I don't see how you could. I don't know another team that's like Sam Ellen is like available, and they're like, man, like he's going to come in, pick up our system, and if we need him in a pinch, he'll be ready to go. So I don't think so. I think that you run your 2.
Okay.
Because just that roster spot, I think you can find anyone of Sam Ellen. Is it Ellinger or Ellinger?
Ellinger, I think.
Sure, we'll do that. Hey, Sam, if you're listening or you tune in, let us know.
Apologies.
We'll get it right next time for sure. Yeah. And so I would go with 2, and especially because I think you got some real difficult cuts to make throughout. I don't know that I want to use one of those. I don't know that I want to use one of those on a mid quarterback, as the kids say.
Yeah, I kind of agree. If there's a chance you get them, you can keep them on a practice squad, something like that. If you're really interested, I think that that's an option for sure. But I don't know that you need 3 quarterbacks on the active roster, especially with how deep this team is looking. And so, as much as I like Ellinger, I have to, imagine we need the depth in other places. And even if, Bo Nix was to go down and we're up with Stidham, I don't know that, they wouldn't try and bring in another veteran guy to back up Stiddy, or just to fill out that room a little bit more. So I have to imagine that. I don't know that he won't make, like I said, like the practice squad, something like that. But I don't know. As far as active roster, I think you're keeping 2 quarterbacks. So we are aligned with that. Let's go offensive line. That seems to be an easy transition over. So you've got your starting 5, Mike McGlinchey, Quinn Miners, Wattenberg, Ben Powers, Garrett Bowles. All those guys are obviously making it. So let's talk about that next wave of players that may or may not make this team. How many offensive linemen do you think that they will end up holding on to?
Yeah, last year they kept 9.
Yep.
They kept 9 because they kept Crum. So I would assume that they'll do the same.
Okay.
That's my assumption. What do you think? Do you think you stay heavy? I feel like it's one of those positions where, and if you look at when players are released after cut day, the most sought after position that gets picked up on waivers after cut day is the offensive line. So my thought would be, if you're gonna carry heavy because you're worried about a guy not being there later, to me that would be the one.
Yeah.
So with that,
I'm with you. I think 9 is probably
who's shoe-ins. Yeah, who's your shoes as we go to the second level of the roster?
I think Pert has probably done enough. I mean, he's been a consistent,
and he's got guaranteed money. I mean, he's getting paid.
Right.
It's like $4.5 million this year or counts against the cap. So cutting him, he'd have to be terrible, and I don't think that that's been the case. So I agree with you. I think he's a shoe-in on that. So we got our 6.
I think I think you probably hold on to Forsyth. I think he's a guy that has a little bit of versatility, but if you really need someone at center, I think everyone feels good about this offensive line, and I do as well. But I don't know that you have anyone behind, on that second wave that you feel can play the center position as well as Forsyth. So I think he's probably one that they hold on to.
Yeah. No, and I think Wattenberg will be a free agent after this year. And
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I doubt that they will pay him. I think you're gonna have some choices to make with Ben Powers and Wattenberg. So I think he played pretty well when he was in outside of field goal block. We're not gonna beat him up about that. He already got beat up enough.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, anyway, but he played pretty well, and so I think he, at minimum, right, gives you some leverage or opportunity to play guard potentially. So I think Forsyth is for sure. I also think Palcho is and I wanted to remind everyone that was one of my guys.
Yeah.
From way back when.
That's true.
He's got All-American votes, was Big Ten tackle playing for Illinois. So it wasn't like he was from powerhouse school, and the fact that he didn't have, elite measurables, but he was able to hold his own against some of the best athletes in college football. I just said I saw it coming. That's all. So right now we got 3 of the 4 that we're going to keep. Do we want to keep moving through here right now, or do we want to maybe volley and come back to where we're at?
Let's. I think we probably need to. Well, what do you think with Gargiulo being out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think they like Throckmorton, but if it were me, I think that they'll keep Clay Webb. Okay. Clay Webb, 5-star recruit, Georgia, can play guard and or is a center. I think maybe has some versatility for guard, but I think Palcho can play at guard if need be.
Yeah.
And I think Throckmorton, maybe he would land on someone's. But last year he essentially was on the practice squad. They pay him a vet min salary. Everyone kind of wins, and he's your shuttle guy. Because I think Throckmorton would make it through waivers more likely than Clay Webb, who's played pretty well even in his minimal opportunities. That said, though, you have Frank Crum out there, who was kept last year. So do you keep 3 backup tackles on your roster, or do you go heavier inside? Because right now, really, Forsyth is the only one that plays inside, and then the question is, can he even play guard? That part I don't know, but Clay Webb has only really played center. Actually, no, that's not true. I think he played guard earlier in college. So that's my pitch would be, I like Frank Crum. I think he's a really good athlete. He wasn't ready last year. Don't think he's ready this year. I'd give the risk of getting him to practice squad and losing Clay Webb. I don't think that those things for me have the same value, but definitely would be open to your take.
Okay. I'm going to put it at 8 to 9 right now and see where we land as we continue to go through this. I think that I think we'll probably end up being at 9, and I think we're probably pretty aligned on that, but you never know, as we go through this.
Yeah, we'll come back to it.
It's the whole fun of the exercise.
It's the whole fun of the exercise. Right now we got 2, we got 8. We'll see about 9. So then let's move to the receiver room. Yeah, do you want to move to the receiver room?
Let's do it.
All right. So I think
there's a receiver-related question there too.
There is, and we're going to get to that. So I'm going to leave that guy's name out right now. So I think we're pretty good with Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, Trent Sherfield.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got our 5 right now. So then the question being, Devon Vele. So I really like Ty. I think it's really, really great question.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how Vele wouldn't be. And Shai, I agree with you. You hit on the point too. You have 2 guys with higher upside in Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant, who are younger. They are also higher round draft picks, right? So the organization believed in them more. And even though Devon Vele came out and played pretty well, it wasn't like he was this revelation where he's this clear-cut potential Pro Bowl. You're not putting that. Sadly, there's a lot of Devon Vele's out in the NFL.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of Troy Franklin, 6'3" long length that can pick him up, put him down as a deep threat. And the way that he's playing right now with confidence, he to me is their wide receiver 3. I called this in the draft, in our draft pods and moving up. Pat Bryant is a dude, and he surprised me with how good he's looked this early, and even I was like a Pat stan. So to me, Vele then is wide receiver 5. And so does he play enough special teams to warrant him being on the roster as a wide receiver 6? Trent Sherfield is here because he is a special teams ace, but you saw what he was able to do when he gets some opportunities to catch the football. And so, and there's some younger guys like Courtney Jackson, who is a pretty electric returner, Joaquin Davis, Jerome Newton, and even Michael Bandy, who's probably like your real only traditional slot, which is code for a short white guy with quickness. But I think that's one area that this team doesn't really have, as a guy that really can shake and play in the slot. I am not an advocate right now of like cutting Vele. I think if it were me, go see if you can get a 6th. It's if you're able to move up around, if you draft a player and the next year you're able to move up around, that's a good investment, right? Like you've made money on the investment. And so I would be open for that. But I think at 5 right now, and then maybe kind of deciding where we're at. But do you think, is Devon Vele your 6th hell or high water? Is he a guy that you think about trading, like Ty brought up? Or is there, a guy like Courtney Jackson who you feel might give this team something different?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot about it previously, but, there was kind of a feel that Sutton, at least for me, that Sutton and Vele kind of bring a similar game. I don't think that they're exactly the same type of player, but I think they're pretty darn close. And so I think if you're looking to kind of diversify the feel of that room, I think I could see a move where Vele, gets traded if it's worth the value. I don't know that you're going to get anything big for Vele, but I think you want to get a solid day 3 pick, if you can, something like that. I'm a fan of Vele. I think he is a chain mover. I think he's a guy that certainly should be on an NFL roster. And if it were up to me, I would probably hold on to him for another year. Just I do like his game. I do think he brings something to the table. I do think it is beneficial to have that type of receiver. Oh, I think we lost the doc. It is beneficial to have that type of receiver on your roster. And so I think that you have to kind of roll with Vele if there's no market for him. And I think that that's an okay problem to have, to be honest. But ultimately, I think, given some time, I do think, agree with Shea that Pat Bryant's going to take that Vele spot at some point. I just think what the floor is with Vele. But I think you also know what the ceiling is, and the ceiling is just not quite as high as a guy like Pat Bryant. And so a rookie season, I anticipate he'll get some snaps. I don't know how often he'll actually be out there if Vele is rostered. But, I think that the fun part about this room is that I don't think that it's very fleshed out right now. It feels a little bit wide open. I think even if you're talking about wide receiver 2, I don't know that it's locked up. I think a lot of people assume it's going to be Marvin Mims. They used him a lot in the slot. They used him a lot as a gadget player. They didn't line him up on the outside as much as I think that they might with a guy like Troy Franklin. And so I think it's possible that Troy Franklin ends up being the wide receiver 2 on this team. I was going to quiz the doc about that, but since he lost connectivity, we'll have to come back to it. But yeah, I think you're holding on to at least 6, your 6 being Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Devon Vele, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, and Trent Sherfield. I think maybe you try and get a guy. I think maybe the next guy would be a Courtney Jackson, just because he brings some versatility. He brings a return threat. He's a guy that, we have some return threat guys, but I don't know that you want them taking unnecessary hits as the season goes along. And so we'll have to see how that shakes out. I'm gonna pencil them in for 6 to 7 right now. We'll go back and see if we can narrow in on exactly what we think that'll be when the doc returns. He had just texted me. Let's see what he says. Are you still on? Yes, I'm still on. Okay, we're going to keep rolling, though. Running backs. Running back room, I think it's all going to come down to who your RB3 ends up being. RJ Harvey is a lock. J.K. Dobbins is a lock. Obviously, we don't have any questions about that. Jaleel McLaughlin, Tyler Bidet, Blake Watson, Audric Estime. Kind of comes down to preference. There's an argument that you can make that Estime is a power back. Though I haven't really seen that. I'm not really convinced that he is the power back you're looking for. If that is the archetype you want to go for, they probably are not on this roster. I am torn a little bit between Bidet and McLaughlin as your wide receiver 3 or your running back 3. I don't know. Man, it's tough. I feel like Jaleel gives you a little more speed, a little more threat out of the backfield. But I love the way that Tyler Bidet runs. I love he puts his head down. He runs between the tackles. Generally, he's picking up yards. I just don't know where I'm leaning right now. I think I would probably lean Bidet just a little bit just because I love how he runs. But I have a feeling that Jaleel has probably got a little more cachet in the locker room. I think he's probably contributed a little bit more to the success of this team up to this point. I think that he does offer you some receiving out of the backfield that Bidet, I think, can do, but hasn't really shown it. It will take some time to feel that out. I think it's probably good that they're not doing the roster determination right now, but we've got another game to see how things shake out with some of these guys. But I think it's for me, it's Bidet. I think ultimately it will be Jaleel McLaughlin, though. Hi. What's up? We lost you.
That's what happens when you mess with the vortex mains of interdisciplinary planet systems, and then you come back.
Oh, is that what you did?
So what did I miss? Yeah, some of them
Well,
are
I
problems,
wrapped
like
wide
the Spider-Verse.
receivers. I wrapped on wide receivers. So I said like 6 to 7 receivers. Uh-oh, are you gone again? Okay. I guess Doc's internet is having an issue. We'll keep rolling though. Yeah, so I mean, I think you're keeping at least 4 running backs. I think that they end up keeping Michael Burton as well. RJ Harvey really likes Michael Burton. It's someone he said is kind of his guy. I think that. Oh, hey, you're back. You keep freezing up on me, but I'm glad you're back. I do think they end up keeping Michael Burton, so that's probably 4 in the backfield.
I don't think that they do, though. One, he's hurt.
Okay.
And so I think that they're going to start him. I think they start him on the IR.
What's his injury? I don't remember.
And because last year they didn't. Oh, that's a good question. But I think for the roster crunch. Okay. I think for the roster crunch, they cut him last year, so he didn't make the opening 53 last year.
That's true. That's true.
And so procedurally, I think he might be a guy, especially when you bring in Adam Prentice. Like, it was enough that his injury is enough. That one, it's interesting because the thought was maybe Nate Atkins was good enough to do both.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's
a hamstring. He apparently is not. Yeah, and so, I don't know that Adam Prentice was a free agent the whole time. I don't know that maybe they start the season with a fullback on the roster. You put both of them on the practice squad, or you got Michael Burton on having Prentice on the practice squad, you bring him up for a little bit, and then when both are healthy, you figure it out.
Okay, that makes sense. Do you? I wanted to ask you 2 questions since you weren't there for the end of the wide receiver discussion. I want to ask you, who's the wide receiver 2 on this team? I'm still trying to figure it out. I said while you were gone, I said who my wide receiver 2 is, and I'll tell you after you answer.
Yeah.
How about that?
I think that it's Mims.
Okay.
And only because he didn't play in the last game. Right. So he didn't even suit up. So to me, I think
that's fair.
Yeah. But when in terms of like volume, because Peyton doesn't really do that. It's essentially you got one one receiver, your joker, so your tight end, and or both of them, and then your wide receiver 2. And so I think, who do I think it should be? I think Franklin should be the number 2 right now. I think the way he's played, what he offers, continue to give Marvin his packages and some things like that without having to force him in as a 2 or that kind of thing. That would be what I would do. And I think it's a little, it doesn't matter because Sean Payton mixes and matches and personnel and all that stuff. So
yeah.
What does wide needs? I think Pat Bryant could have the most catches. Troy Franklin could have the most yards. Marvin might have the most touchdowns, right? Like depending on what they do in the screen game, the big play game, all that stuff. So you could see like that statistically for those 3, each of them could have a stake at wide receiver 2 claims without being kind of the default or the de facto next in the pecking order. But I think Evan Ingram is their wide receiver 2 if you were to go by volume. Well, what about you? Who do you think that it is? And is that who they think it is?
Yeah, no, I think it's Troy Franklin, and I think it will be Troy Franklin by the end of the season. I do agree with you though. The fact that they sat out Mims probably indicates that they see him as the wide receiver 2 technically. But like I said, or like you said, they're going to roll out packages for these guys. It isn't as cut and dry as, first for wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. It is with wide receiver 1, but I'd say the rest, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, it's all kind of relative. But I do think that right now the most talented player with the most upside outside of Cortland Sutton in this receiver room is Troy Franklin. And I think that he's playing with confidence. He looks like he's running routes more efficiently. He looks like his hands, I know he had some drops last year that we gave him a hard time for. But it seems like that's not really an issue right now. He looks more confident. He looks more comfortable. I just think that he is, poised to kind of take this season and have an opportunity to run and kind of make his name on this team. The other question was running back 3. I had this debate with myself. Is it Bidet? Is it Jaleel McLaughlin? And I struggled with it. I think personally, my preference is Bidet. I think that the team would probably hedge more towards McLaughlin. Where do you think that the team is at with those 2, and what it would be your choice?
I think it should be Tyler Bidet, or I think it is Tyler Bidet.
It is, okay.
I really like what Blake Watson does. I think
like
that he is the most well-rounded of the backs. I think he's converted wide receiver at Memphis. I think he's a guy that can do all of it. But I think Tyler Bidet's willingness just goes in it. He's also played some special teams. So I think as a running back 3, there's upside there about how much you can contribute because Jaleel's just not going to give you that. And again, I go with Jaleel is undersized. And so with that, you have to have a really plus trait an elite trait even. I don't think he has that. He's fast, but he's not, he's not Jahmyr Gibbs fast. He's good inside runner, but he's not a strong inside runner. He's an okay receiver out of the backfield, but he's a dynamic receiver out of the backfield, right? It's like if you're that size where we're giving up something strategically, having you on the field, you got to really be able to bring something else. And I don't know that he is so strong in any of those areas that would lead me that way. So I think Tyler Bidet is the 3. I think Blake Watson goes to the practice squad. I think you let Jaleel go, give it a shot. I think maybe somewhere he would be an RB3 for a team. And I think you cut Audric. I don't even know if he's back at the practice squad.
No.
He hasn't shown anything to feel that great.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on from that one, personally.
So who's our 3? Which if we're moving forward as a group, who's our RB3 or do they 4?
Yeah, it's possible they keep 4. I mean, that's something. If they're not keeping a fullback, maybe they end up keeping an additional running back. I think for sure. Well, obviously, we've got Harvey and Dobbins, and then I would go Bidet too. I think that's where I ended up landing. So I think let's say Bidet, and then if you want to, I don't know that you would keep Jaleel and then also keep Watson as a practice squad guy though. So I think that probably you're keeping 3 and stashing 1 is how I feel about that. Would you agree?
I think so too.
Okay. Yep. So we'll say 3 running backs. Potential 1 on the practice squad, but we're not gonna.
Is Bidet are we agreeing that Bidet's the 3rd?
I think so. I think Bidet's our RB3,
right.
And I'm fine. I feel comfortable with that.
All right.
Okay.
3, and then are we? So and with no fullback right now, right?
No fullback right now.
Yeah. All right. Nice. I agree. All right. Tight end. Thank you. Obviously.
Yep. Ingram's in.
And Troutman's
in.
Obviously. And then the question, 3 or 4 tight ends. And yes, Ty, I would trade Jaleel. Do I think anyone would take him?
Maybe. You never know.
Maybe.
You never know.
I don't. It's because it's also running backs don't get claimed a lot either, and so maybe could you get a pick from a team that really was desperate? Maybe some injury in the backfield. Maybe a player for a player.
Yeah, player for player. Yeah, for sure.
Something like that, maybe. So, I have no doubt. I think George Payton is on the phone. So if there's a deal to be had for one of these guys that ends up getting cut, if there was an available one, the Broncos would have done it. So I think we'll know if he gets cut. That means either he has the agreement to get back on the practice squad and he wants to stay here, or there wasn't anything out there.
All right. So what do you think? 2 or 3 tight ends, 4 tight ends? I think probably I want to say 4. Obviously Ingram, Troutman. I think Lucas Kroll makes the team. Think so? I think so, actually. I think he's shown enough over the last couple of years. I don't know how to feel about Lohner. I think that I like some of the things that are there. There are other things that I think are just non-existent. I don't think he's a very good blocker. Prescorn, I'm intrigued by just because we've seen him receive the ball a little bit. He's a big target. He's a guy that can get out in space and at least catch the ball and be a tough guy to bring down. I don't know. I like Adkins. Do you bring him on to kind of fill that fullback role, while these guys are healing up, or you just decide to move on from them? I think 4 is probably the number I would go with, but I want to see how you're feeling about that. And who you like.
Yeah, I
think this is a hard room right now.
I think it is too. I've liked what I've seen. Stuff I've liked that I've seen from all of them. I think Nate Atkins is a sneaky good player with some versatility, can play H-back.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a little curious about why he isn't the plan at fullback. Michael Burton does. I think he does a good job at fullback, and he plays special teams, so it's a little bit of it makes a ton of sense. I think Caleb Lohner is the worry would be, do you think he makes it to the practice squad? And I think I would take that risk because he doesn't know how to play tight end yet.
Right.
So really, unless you're really like, you don't care, if you're another team and you're like, we just need good athletes, and if Sean Payton thought he was a good enough athlete, let's give him a shot.
We want a project.
But in that case, if they're a bad team, I don't know that they have the coaching staff to be able to get a guy like Caleb Lohner up to speed. Right. I think that they probably roll Ingram, Troutman, Atkins. I think they'll keep 3.
Okay.
I think Lucas Kroll he's a guy that I like. I think that there's some upside, but again, is there anything that you've seen from him that he provides that you don't think you could get from coaching someone else's wide receiver, tight end 3, 4?
Yeah, no, I mean, not
so
particularly.
Tight as this is, and so to see a guy I would love back on the practice squad, and you shut him up a little bit, you let him keep coming, and then because I think Nick Atkins and Kroll and Troutman will be up for deals next year, I think. So I see a guy that you really want to pay a multi-year contract to, probably not. At least not yet. He's got to show really kind of some bulky drops. So I would keep those first 3. I think Nate Atkins has shown more consistency in the run game and has made some good some plays and has some versatility. So that's where I would start, but I think it's a position that we can come back to and really, because there's going to be a few players, a few positions that just don't, the squeeze happens and you got to find some stuff somewhere.
Yeah, no, let's go 3 then, because I don't have strong feels about that. I added our punter, kicker, long snapper, so that gets us up to 25 right now, with a potential extra lineman out there and a potential extra receiver out there. I put us in for 6 receivers. I think we probably, they probably don't need to run with an additional one, but I like the guys that they have, so I wanted to leave an option open. Let's transition to defense then. I think that this is there's going to be some tough cuts down here. So let's just start. Let's start with the defensive line, and go from there. Obviously, we know who our starters are on that defensive line. It's Zach Allen, it's DJ Jones, it's John Franklin Myers.
Jones obviously then is a shoe-in.
Yeah.
I think Malcolm Roach is a shoe-in.
Yeah.
And so I think so. Then the question, so as they kept 6 last year, is who's the 6th? So Wazirike, who really gives him a size that no one else does. The guy is just large.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's
he
like
has some penalties. I feel like early on in preseason. Jordan Jackson's been around for a minute. Just kind of always kind of hangs on.
I've liked what I've seen when in spurts from Jordan Miller, who's also kind of a true nose. Christian Williams was making some plays last week. But I think he's probably a guy that you can feel pretty comfortable with getting to your practice squad. So my opinion is kind of who do you think wouldn't make it more, Wazirike or the 2 Jordans?
I think I'm okay with moving on from Wazirike. I love the potential that's been there. I love the upside, the speculative upside. I just don't know that he's going to ever hit that kind of ceiling. And I think that Jordan Jackson's shown that he can be productive. I like what Jordan Miller brings to the table a little bit more than what Wazirike brings. So that's probably where I'd lean right now. They also did pick up Michael Dwumfor. I don't know if that's how you say it. I think either yesterday or today. So obviously they have some sort of interest in that guy to bring him on and roster him at least for a little while.
Right.
I don't know that he ends up making the 53 man, probably not. But just something of note. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
If that, I like your reasoning with that. Then I would keep Jackson.
Yeah,
that would be if I were to keep based on your logic too. I think he would be the one I would keep over Jordan Miller.
Yeah, I think so too.
Unless you think different. Okay.
No.
Yeah, I think he's shown some pass rush chops. I think he's been a disruptive player. He's been fairly consistent when he's played. And then obviously the on-field or the off-field stuff has not been a concern.
Right.
You know, he
and it was where he can't.
He bets on himself, but legally. So that's always good.
All right, let's do interior linebackers.
Let's do that. So obviously you got your studs. So you got Singleton and Greenlaw. We know that Drew Sanders will start on either the PUP or the IL.
Yeah.
And
I think that's multiple
IR,
weeks,
not baseball. So Stranad it's Stranad and Bailey. And I think that's it. I think that they probably practice squad, maybe a couple other guys. Garrett Wallows had some ups and downs in the NFL. I think Jordan Turner showed out pretty well, but I think that he's a guy that you can get to
practice squad.
That you can get to the practice squad. So to me, I think you keep 4. I think it's Stranad, Bailey, and then the 2 guys.
Man, I really like Reed. I really like Jordan Turner. I think, to be honest, I would rather roll with those guys than Stranad. But I think that the smart having the veteran guy in there, the special teamers, the guy that we know can kind of fill in a pinch and is not going to blow assignments too badly. I think that's probably the way that they would go, even if that's not my preference. So I'm with you. We'll say 4, and that'll be Greenlaw, Singleton, Stranad, and Lavelle Bailey, and then they'll figure out what they want to do with Drew Sanders once he comes back. Outside backers.
Yeah, I think this one, to me, I think they keep 5. I think it's you keep Benito, Cooper, Ellis, Tillman, and Q.
Yep.
I think, in my opinion, that's kind of it. Do you have a picture, anything different that you feel like would be a better way to do it?
No, I don't think so. I think that's it. I think it's 5. I think it's easy. I don't know that there's anyone that you're really pushing for outside of those guys. So I am good with that. So I'm doing math.
All right, so we got our 5 there. And then that's why you're doing math. I'll get us to our I think let's just look at it as the DB group.
Yeah, I think so too.
How many more do we got? How many more positions do we math? Oh,
let's see. We've got. So we're at. I maybe missed one. Let me remath it, but I think we're at 41.
Okay. Yeah, because we got 3 specialists, 2 quarterbacks, so 5. Plus the 8 for sure linemen. We might keep a 9th.
Yeah.
And then you have us with 6 receivers.
Yep.
And then 3 running backs, 3 tight ends. We got 6 D linemen, 4 inside linebackers, 5 edges, and room for how many more? Question mark.
Yeah, we're at 40. So we've got some space. We got some room to
maneuver us.
To add some guys that we like, that maybe we just prefer, which is fun.
Yep.
Okay. DBs, we got Talanoa Hufanga, Brandon Jones, Pat Surtain, Jade Barron for sure. I think you throw Riley Moss in there. I don't think he's going anywhere. PJ Locke is probably not going anywhere. Chris Abram-Drains is probably not going anywhere. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right now, Jaquan
Yep.
McMillan, probably safe. So let's say 8 for now.
Yeah, I think Mac makes it.
Who was that?
No, I was saying, yep. I think.
Okay. So
Mac
then I think
makes
you
it,
gotta be selective at this point. So we're looking at Damari Mathis. We're looking at Devin Key, JL Skinner, Kidron Smith.
I think you got to keep Skinner.
I think so too, actually.
Yeah.
Not just because he's one of my guys.
No, but it was a good call. And so then with that, it's like, are any of these other guys? So I think Devon Key has been a solid contributor for them. Again, it's one of those, I don't know that he brings anything that no one else does. Sam Franklin was a special team signing as a vet. Not someone I think that the money is catastrophic if you let him go. But he's the guy that came in for special teams.
That's true.
And this team believes in special teams and the importance of. So I don't know if that is just something for us to put in our cap for later or whatever the saying might be.
Yeah.
So I think you keep one more. I think you keep one more defensive back. I think it's probably got to be someone either with really high upside or flexibility. I think, to be honest, I really liked the start of Damari Mathis's career, but I don't think he's a guy right now. Like if you're keeping him around, he's a free agent after this season.
Okay.
He's not going to be a guy that plays a ton.
That's true.
Yeah, you're probably not bringing him back. So, would you rather see a guy like Reese Taylor, who's made some plays in some opportunities, Quentin Newsom, who I think is a high-ish upside player, Sam Franklin for his special teams. Josh Pickett, I think, has shown a little bit, but if you were to give your elevator pitch for any of those guys, who would it be, or whatever?
I don't think Mathis has played too bad, but I think he's improved. But I don't see that he is. I'm pretty sure he was supposed to be in coverage on the Arizona tight end when they gave up that touchdown. He just, I don't know that he's the most consistent guy. I would probably lean Franklin. I think just for the special teams aspect of it. I think that you've got guys. I think I like Delirian Turnagale. I like Devon Key, but I don't think that they bring any, like you said, I don't think that they are necessarily game changers in that way. Could they fill a special teams role? Maybe, probably. But I think like you said, you bring in Franklin to play that role specifically. And so that's probably where I'd lean.
Yeah. So that's 10.
Okay. So that puts us at 50 out of 53.
That's interesting. So then, well, we don't have a fullback.
Don't have a fullback.
Peyton does. He's going to start one. So maybe he starts with Prentice or Burton. I mean, if Burton were healthy, it'd be Burton.
Right. Do we think that it could be Prentice or Adkins? That's the only other question I'd have.
Well, yeah, I think that they keep Adkins as a tight end period because I don't think that they've used him a lot in that. I think he is an option to kind of move, be a move tight end, but not really. At least they haven't. I would have tried it, but I think Prentice. I think there will be a fullback on the roster opening day.
I think so too.
Especially as we look at the numbers. I think Burton, if he's healthy, it will be him. Prentice will go to the practice squad, or Burton will go on IR or the pup or whatever they do to minimize that and get it back as fast as possible. And I think Prentice that starts on the Burton's out for 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we got 4 in the running back room because of the fullback. And then I think, did you add a 9th lineman or did you add?
No, I did 8. So 8. That was probably what I was looking at next. Was Throckmorton maybe?
Yep. Yeah, it's either that or Clay Webb. I think my pitch for Clay Webb, I still feel pretty strongly about.
Okay.
I think you go with the younger youth upside guy as your developmental option.
Yeah,
Even though
let's
I
go.
think Throckmorton, I mean, he was just tossing dudes. But I mean, I also would be open to keeping both of them. We have 2 spots.
Yeah, the other question is like if you like Clay Webb, then do you bump Forsythe?
I think keep them both.
Okay.
You know, I think in the end, that's kind of your center room next year.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's true. You will have
If
to.
you think
you'll
Clay
have to
Webb
replace
can get,
so.
can get through waivers, that would be ideal. Yeah.
Let's pencil in
But
Clay
I'd also
Webb.
be open to, a Jordan Turner, who I think has shown a little bit. Clay Webb, okay.
Yeah. Because I do like that.
So
I do
we
like the
need-
upside there.
What? One more?
Yeah,
Two more?
Jordan Turner is my guy, man. If I had to pick one
No,
of
which
these
one? One or
guys
two?
that I don't think is going to make it,
Yep.
I'm probably torn between.
I like
Jordan
it.
Turner.
And he showed some pass rush chops. He had 2 sacks
I
last
think
week.
he closes really fast, and I like that about him. He gets in the backfield really quickly.
Yeah, he does. He
The
does.
only
And
other question I would be like,
he didn't miss
is
tackles.
maybe Courtney Jackson an
That's what you
option?
pay linebackers for.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't think that they keep 7.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Especially for a team that doesn't run a bunch of wide receiver sets. I like Courtney Jackson. I think if I were able to move Devon Vele for a pick or something like that, I would love Courtney Jackson. I also think he probably most likely is going to make it to practice squad. Receivers just don't get picked. Receivers and running backs just don't get picked off people's rosters on cut day. So I would lean Turner or Jordan Miller or Wazarike. I think staying stout in the trenches is never a bad thing.
That's fair. I mean, if I get to pick, I'm picking Jordan Miller or Jordan Turner. Sorry.
I'll give you a final call though.
Yeah, I think it's
Jordan Turner.
For me, it's Turner.
Jordan Turner, come on down. Bam! Look at that.
Bam.
People.
That's 53. We'll see how accurate we are. Oops, I added 3. That didn't work. Want to know what you guys think? Give us a comment. Find us on Twitter if you got some beef. Like, throw it out there. Let's talk. Let's argue. I love it. Be civil, of course, but that's like what we like to do. That, man, we like to talk about it. We like to break down this team, and so keep hitting us up. We appreciate y'all. I know the doc's on a tight schedule with the kiddo, so we're gonna call it here. We appreciate you all. Be kind to one another. Be safe out there. And if you need a sports prescription, ask a doctor.
I'll help you out most of the time.